We all want to be happy. We spend our lives chasing it. But what if the very things we think will bring us joy are actually the things holding us back? Today, we're going to try and crack the code, digging into the science and philosophy of well-being to build a real, practical blueprint for a more fulfilling life. Let's get right into it.
So let me just start with a question that gets right to the heart of it. Is it possible, just possible, that the very thing you think will make you happy is actually a trap? It's kind of a tough thought, I know, but really getting it is the absolute first step. And this right here, this illustrates a trap so many of us fall into. We get success and happiness all mixed up. See, success is all external. It's the trophy, the promotion, the validation from other people. But happiness, that's internal. It's a state of contentment. One is about winning a game, the other is just about being. And understanding that difference is, well, it's everything. And if you need proof, check out this number. This comes from research by Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman. He found that for most Americans, emotional well-being kind of just plateaus right around an annual income of $75,000. Earning more money doesn't really buy you more day-to-day happiness after that point. It's just a perfect example of the diminishing returns of chasing external success.
Okay, so what about just pure luck? I mean, a huge lottery win or, on the flip side, a terrible accident. That has to change everything, right? Well, a famous study from Northwestern University found something pretty shocking. They tracked lottery winners and accident victims, and you know what they found? After that initial shock wore off, both groups eventually went right back to their original happiness levels. So the big takeaway is this. Our long-term happiness is determined less by what happens to us, and way more by how our brains interpret what happens to us.
So, if our happiness is all about interpretation, what's actually going on inside our brains to create those feelings? Well, to understand that, we need to meet the 3 key neurotransmitters that are basically running the show. And here they are, your brain's happiest trio. First up is dopamine. That's the thrill of the chase, that high you get from a promotion, a bonus, or winning a game. It's awesome, but it's also super addictive and leads to this constant need for more. Then you have serotonin and oxytocin. Serotonin is that feeling of just calm contentment. It comes from good health and well-being. And oxytocin? That's the warmth of connection, trust, and love we feel in our relationships. These two aren't as flashy as dopamine for sure, but they are the absolute bedrock of lasting happiness. You know, this isn't some new idea. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said it perfectly centuries ago. If you sacrifice your health, your serotonin, to chase success and wealth like some ailing king, you're just playing a losing game. A person with very little, but who feels healthy and well, in a very real sense, they're richer. Think of it like this. Your health, which is your serotonin, and your relationships, your oxytocin, that is the solid foundation of your house. The thrill of achievement, the dopamine, that's the cool spire you build on top. But if you chase those dopamine highs while your foundation is crumbling, the whole thing is just destined to collapse. Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually build that solid foundation and structure our lives for fulfillment? Well, it really comes down to 3 simple but incredibly powerful rules. So these are the 3 core principles. First, you want to aim for a life that gets steadily better over time. Second, you've got to master your daily reality by removing the small pains. And third, learn to zoom out and use what we'll call the cosmic view for perspective. Let's break each one of these down. Our brains are so funny. There's this thing called the peak-end rule, and it means we don't judge an experience by its average, but by its peak and, most importantly, how it ends. You know how a movie with a fantastic ending feels great even if the beginning was kind of slow? The same thing goes for life. A life that ends on a high note, with growth and fulfillment in its later years, is going to feel like a happy life, even if it had some struggles early on. Peaking in your 20s might sound amazing, but it can make the rest of your life feel like this long, slow decline.
We often think happiness is about adding big, exciting stuff. You know, the fancy vacation, the new car. But real contentment, that often comes from subtraction. I mean, think about it. Removing a daily pain, like a super stressful commute or a nagging discomfort, improves your quality of life every single day. One big pleasure gives you a short-term boost, but getting rid of a chronic annoyance gives you this constant low-level sense of relief and well-being. You gotta master your daily routine first. Okay, this last rule is such a powerful mental tool for managing stress and appreciating the present moment. When we're caught up in our daily problems, they can feel enormous, like they're just all-consuming. The trick is to consciously change your scale of reference, to zoom out.
So this is our typical frame of reference, right? One human life. All our worries, all our triumphs, they all happen on this timeline.
Now, let's zoom out of it. This is the timeline of our human ancestors. Suddenly, our entire life is just a tiny, tiny sliver of the human story. And now, let's take the full cosmic view, the age of the entire universe. In this context, all of human history is less than a blink of an eye. Your life is a momentary flash. From this perspective, that work deadline or that silly argument you had, it becomes almost comically small. This isn't about diminishing your problems, it's about giving you the perspective to see they aren't the end of the world. So, we've covered the science, the philosophy, the practical rules, but there is one final paradoxical idea that ties everything together. And honestly, it's a bit of a shock at first, but it might be the most important key to unlocking real happiness. After all of this, if we had to just boil it all down to one single core idea, what would it be? What is the foundational mindset that makes all of the other rules even work? Okay, I know how that sounds. Incredibly dark and cynical, right? But hang on, just stick with me, because this is not about pessimism. This is about realism. It's a philosophical starting point, not an emotional endpoint. Let me explain what I mean. Let's call it the beautiful hell. The idea is that life, just by its very nature, is always going to have struggle and pain and things that are completely outside of our control. The constant chase for a perfect, frictionless life, that is what causes so much of our suffering. When we expect life to be easy and fair, we are constantly disappointed. But when you accept that challenges are just part of the deal, you're freed from that crushing expectation. So, here's the crucial point. True freedom and the happiness that comes with it isn't found by finally creating a perfect life. It's found by letting go of the need for one. It's about finding joy and meaning and beauty within the imperfect, messy, beautiful reality of our lives, not in some fantasy of what it's supposed to be. And that brings us to the final takeaway. Accepting this idea doesn't magically solve your problems. No. Instead, it clears away all the noise of unrealistic expectations, and it asks a much more powerful question. Knowing that life will have its struggles, how will you choose to build your foundation and find beauty within it? The choice is yours. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and help us build the hype. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.